Question. Analyze how both The Handmaid's Tale and The Handmaid's Tale TV series use narrative conventions in their chosen medium to create speculative fiction. The Handmaid's Tale is an IP that tells the story of a speculative, oppressed dystopian society based on sex slavery under religious dictatorship. The creators depict this possible society through narrative conventions such as characterization, plot, setting, and themes. The book by Margaret Atwood provides the story of Offred and Gilead, as it originated, and the television adaptation by Bruce Miller and Elizabeth Moss reinterprets the writer's original vision, putting it into the medium of television, both illustrating a hypothetical, religiously dictated society. Handmaid's Tale explores the theme of lost identity through the setting of a dystopian, uniformed society of Gilead and the secrecy of individuality within it, by the character of Offred/June. With Margaret Atwood's choice of making an ordinary woman, Offred, the narrator, this gives the audience a specific view into the gruesome world of Gilead through the eyes of one of its victims, characterizing her as a quiet yet strong-willed individual in the book, as seen in the quote, "You can't help what you feel, but you can help how you behave." However, in the show, Offred, or June, is not seen as a quiet little oppressed woman, but more so a leader of the rebellion. By using dramatic music over her lines, over-exaggerated line delivery, and, of course, Cobra Stare shots, it gives the sense that she isn't a powerless and vulnerable woman, but more a woman who will stop at nothing to fight her oppressors and rise up to the society she finds herself in. This is a complete deterioration and alienation from the original book, because the character of June is supposed to be relatable and hard to read about. Book Offred is someone anyone could find themselves relating to and reacting the same way to being under dystopian rule. She has the sense of helplessness, but will keep going. In the quote, "I pray silently, nolit te vastade carperandum." This illustrates Offred as being fragile yet tenacious, showing the juxtaposition of a dystopian world character and how you have to battle inside your head while having to remain unnoticed in the society you surround yourself in. A sense of hopelessness is shown, that you can't do anything in a controlled yet barbaric world. The TV show should have focused less on the plot events and actions, and more on the emotion behind the character of June and others. For example, when June has the opportunity to escape, she very much, out of character, decides to stay, deciding she'll only leave if she has her daughter safe. But the show never delves into her emotional struggle, but more so her as a figure for the revolution. This action also really only happens so that the show can continue on, and it makes TV June into more of a plot device / unstoppable female character, rather than a real, relatable person like in the book. The quote, "I intend to survive," said by Offred, is used in the book and in the show, but it has different interpretations and meaning from the two different creatives. Offred's line in the book, written by Margaret Atwood, is meant to be a testament to how Offred is going to push through and survive in this world, showing her resilience. But in the show, due to the show being less focused on the tragedy aspects and genre of the text and more so turning it into a thriller, the line is delivered by Elizabeth Moss and is delivered with a certain level of badassery.
My name is Offred, and I intend to survive.
The character is turned into an action hero, essentially, a soldier going to war, seen in the later seasons when Offred is turned into a mock general for her fellow handmaids, instead of showing the strength and resilience and stamina like in the book, but in the show it displays strength in persistence and action. The reason for this change is because of the modern audience, and how it is not now acceptable to show a woman's strength in fighting in her own mental anguish while having to present to society as a meek little flower. But more so, she must now be turned into a war general and fight the patriarchy, which is a character that June, or Offred, is definitely not. The TV series is an unfaithful adaptation of the character of June, which on its own isn't bad, but when you add in the context and intention of this being a psychological fiction and her character trying to be relatable to women, it is an inexcusable rewrite. Making this character change is a complete unfaithful choice to the book, butchering the original intent and vision of the book. Instead of like in the book, it follows a woman trying to survive, she's changed to fit the thriller genre and has become so resistant and untouched to the point of extremities and ultimately becoming indomitable. Therefore, the character is unrealistic, unfaithful, and unrelatable, causing Offred's character to not be adapted faithfully. Part 2. The theme of religious extremities in Gilead distinguishes as a possible eventual outcome for our current society in the near future. Through the Handmaid's Tale exploration of theme of extreme religion and religious dictatorship, it reflects our world today, showing how a certain group's beliefs can be amplified, and in this case how religious structures can be twisted for elitists' own pleasure and benefit. In a part of the book, before the ceremony of mandatory rape by the commander Waterford reads from the Bible to reiterate why these actions are necessary and justified, as it is governed by God. He reads from Genesis 30.03. In the quote, "Behold my maid Bela, she shall bear children upon my knees, that I may also have children by her," and so on and so forth. He uses this religious scripture that has now been rejected and disregarded by the church and Christians, actions seen as morally reprehensible and unacceptable to modern Christianity. But Margaret Atwood illustrates the idea of extreme religion. Gilead's citizens use scripture in which they live their life so accordingly that they believe it to justify their horrendous actions, as it is backed up by a religious text written over 3,500 years ago, and a scripture that has been rejected. An important scene from The Handmaid's Tale shows another use of religious manipulation.
Remember your scripture. Blessed are the meek.
And blessed are those who suffer for the cause of righteousness. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Aunt Lydia manipulates Offred's own allowed knowledge, in which Offred countered with reciting the rest of the proverb that had been selectively left out to appease and abide Gilead's ideology. By finishing Matthew 5:10, in which she was then later struck across the face with a cattle prod in response by Aunt Lydia, this scene reinforces the truth that religion is something that every religious person will pick and choose which rules and morals they live their life, so one can not use the Bible as justification for wrongdoings, as it is objectively in contradiction with the other parts of the Bible and one's own beliefs. This quote from the book and scene from the TV show depict religion as a blind radical faith. The Handmaid's Tale shows an outcome of conceivable societal religious dictatorship within the confinements of a speculative, fictionalized world, a world that is yet to come, or argumentatively, return. The Handmaid's Tale is an IP that tells the story of a speculative, oppressed dystopian society based on sex slavery under the religious dictatorship. The creators depict this possible society through narrative conventions such as characterization, plot, settings, and themes. Although some of the book's intention of characterization and themes are misinterpreted because of creative liberties and different directions by two different creators, the story of Gilead is still important today. The book by Margaret Atwood provides the story of Offred and Gilead, and the television adaptation by Bruce Miller and Elizabeth Moss reinterpreted the writer's original vision for a modern audience, putting it into the medium of television. Both the TV show and book warn society of a hypothetical, religiously indoctrinated a misogynistically dominated world.